As we emerge from the hurt we learn, I was shattered, bruised and torn, left alone to rebuild, reborn. You took my voice, I took the pain, but now...
Welcome to Phoenix's Rising Academy with your guide, Coach T. This is where survivors of narcissistic abuse, psychic warfare, and spiritual exhaustion come to get their bodies back, reclaim their will, and rise. Because your blessings are in your ashes. Because this is soul resurrection, not surface level healing. Let's get into it. Hey. I am so excited for this episode. The title of the episode is Psychic Tension Fields, when your body detects a narcissist before you do. And this came about because I was reflecting um, and saying it's like just, trying to fine tune how not just me, but other phoenixes, other chosen can hone in on that exact moment. We need to become aware, right, of that exact moment when um, narcissists strike, when the cluster B personality strikes. But and I was led spiritually to this covering that we have, and actually God had brought it up to my mind screen that there was I would think it was from like some college university, and it was a long video about the fascia. I had no idea what that was. Fascia. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right, but it's FASCIA, and it's a web-like structure. And I was saying, so when we think that God is so good, so good. The Most High is so good. My ancestors are so good. And so, God is so wonderful. So I'm hoping to share this with you, Phoenixes, not out of ego, but out of excitement of giving you some nuggets, information that you can elaborate on and do your own podcast segments about, or talk to your audience about, right? Because, and I was like, what I felt when I've been psychically attacked, and it's not just being psychically attacked. It's like a whole ritual has been performed. And I have one that has just been so obsessed with me for multiple years now. And I have experienced these rituals gone bad. Like really, they've gone bad. And but I am still feeling them, right? Thank you, Most High God, and my spirit team for explaining. Number one, I survived because I'm a seer, which means I can see what you are doing, especially because you have to be intense. You can't cloak yourself in my energy. I will not allow it. If you cloak yourself, you are going to be burned to a crisp in the spiritual world. You are going to be burned because I'm not going to tolerate it. Don't come to me, right? And So anyway, and every single time, it's been about how they're literally trying to take over your body. They're trying to take over your cells. They're trying to take over your bones. They're trying to take over your muscles. And when you start feeling sick, and we don't realize this because we're unconscious about these multiple worlds, because we've been conditioned to be unconscious about these multiple worlds and dimensions through which people work from. And I am still in awe, because it's like we're among a different species when we're dealing with cluster B personalities, because that is exactly what they are. You know, exactly what they are. And when you think about Hollywood and all the movies about vampires and about, body snatching and all this other kind of stuff, I mean, just look it up, go Google it and say, or do, ask, your, uh, 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 AI agent to list, all the movies talking about this type of occult practice. So yeah. Anyway, let's get into it. I don't want to go on too much because um we'll get away from it. So, uh again, this episode is called Psychic Tension Fields When Your Body Detects a Narcissist Before You Do. All right, so your primitive autoconscious is the deep, ancient intelligence in your fascia, which is your body's sensory webbing that reacts to danger before your thoughts form words. It's instinct, memory, and psychic alarm in one. Okay? So your fascia, a spider web of connective tissue surrounding your muscles, your bones, and organs, acts as a neuroreceptive antenna. It doesn't just hold posture, it holds memory. When exposed to high conflict personalities, it locks tension in milliseconds. In milliseconds. Narcissists trigger time collapse sensations, which is a term that was coined by Peter Levin, who also wrote the book The Body Keeps Score. I was unfortunately never able to get through that book, and I have no idea why. I think I saw it as disingenuous because I literally there was something that just it was like, "Boom, we're not doing this." I don't know why. But I also found that it took a long time to get to the point, from what I was, just listening, on YouTube when, the audiobook version. So anyway, that's just me. If you want it, it's Peter, Levin, Levine, last name. The Body Keeps Score. It's still very popular. So, where your fascia behaves as if this danger has been present your entire life. Let me repeat since I whittled on. Narcissists trigger time collapse sensations, okay? Where your fascia behaves as if this danger has been present your entire life, okay? Um, so there's some to the brain, your 10 brain centers, which comes from Jung's map. Uh, facial fascial response loop, which sensor motors is your sensor motor center, records trauma non-verbally. It reacts before the cognitive brain. Next one, hypothalamic control hub. Response for stress hormone regulation. Under narcissistic stress, it floods your system with cortisol and shuts down digestion. And just a side note here, because I'm reading off of my notes, okay? Because I wrote some stuff and then I got the podcast, I got it into podcast format. So if you guys are wondering, did when I stumble, hey, don't even ask anymore because yes, I need to have this because I can trail on and on and on and on. And I don't want to do that. I want you guys to get the information. And then later on, if you do a workshop or a one-on-one with me, we can have great discussion. Okay. So if you have anything to add, please go into the comments and help your fellow Phoenixes. All right. Um, so hypothalamic control hub, response for stress hormone regulation under narcissistic stress. It floods your system with cortisol and shuts down digestion. Says a lot right there. Okay, so Sisyphus proof. And Sisyphus is Greek for joining together. All right. Trauma joins energetic experiences with physical symptoms. That's why narcissistic environments often manifest as fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, IBS, or autoimmune symptoms. Your body thinks it's literally under siege. And I'm going to dip a little bit into this too. The reason why it thinks that you're under siege is because you have this demonic interdimensional entity that is attached to the physical, material, third worldly cluster B personality. And it's using it to pilot and take it where it wants to go. But then sometimes when it gets bold, it leaves itself. Do you understand? Okay? I mean, like, this is this is really where it's at. When you start having all these symptoms, the brain fog, all of that, it is because they are this entity, this interdimensional paranormal parasite is attached to you now through the cluster B personality. And it manifests. I remember I was living at this place just recently and we moved. And I mean, the longer I stayed there, the more my light started to the more I was siphoned. Not just that, I was in a house of an apartment with a lot of sick, I mean, deathly sick people, creatures. And somehow they knew. Now, not all of these people were cluster B personality, but I believe that a cluster B personality or several of them familiar with occult practices had taught some of these sickly people. These are people who were paralyzed. These are people who have poor lungs. And I'm just going off of what I felt because I had a cluster. You want to talk about cluster B personalities? I had a cluster that I saw with my spiritual eyes that were connected to my sacral chakra, which is about 3 to 4 inches above your belly button. And those of my anime fans, like there's some animes where, an anime character may be overwhelmed and their soul leaves their body, right? That's what they looked like, right? Like kind of like a teardrop ghost, right? That's what they look like attached to me. Okay? So sometimes being a seer, being highly intuitive is good because we get to see what is going on, but it leaves us open to severe ridicule and isolation because people think we're cuckoo. So, but that's what I saw. That's what the Most High, that it's what I wanted to see, um, because that's my gift, right? So that's why. So even when we're like, well, why am I having this? And it is a long-term effect, but what we don't realize is that once we're out of a situation, when I get out of the rain, let's say I'm outside, I'm going to the store, and I'm not gonna go on too long, but I want to give you guys an example. Let's say I'm outside and I'm going to the store, right? It's raining. It is raining, 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 raining. Okay, so I decide I'm not going to go to the store right now. I'm going to turn back. When I go back into my home, when I go back into my home, the rain stops because I have distanced myself from it. So when you leave a narcissist or anybody, the connection stops. And I'm not saying that you don't take the time to heal and grieve. In a normal situation, the connection has stopped. So all the residual of everything that you energetically built between you faints, gets smaller, subsides, disperses, because now you are no longer manifesting anything with that person. You're no longer building. Those particles are not going to become a wave, and now those waves of particles, of thoughts, of intentions, of planning, right? All starting to come together one by one and build on top of each other, right? Each to its own uh, job, is not going to manifest anymore. So what happens? There's a term when I used to do construction. There's a term called deconstruction. It deconstructs and it falls away. You understand? I know you guys do. So the only time that it happens where that process doesn't doesn't complete is when you are dealing with a demonic entity called a cluster B personality, which is a cocktail of at least 8 demons working from off of the pain of somebody in this physical realm. They are the ones that are keeping themselves. So that's why you're constantly sick. Okay? So I'm not gonna say anymore. Let's get on. So um let's do this silent drive psychic exercise, okay? Scan your body like a psychic radar, okay? Because this is actually what I do. And this I and it's weird because I just automatically do it. I've always done it all my life. And it's it's a beautiful thing, but it's terrifying now because shit's got really deep. But scan your body like a psychic radar, okay? Start at your crown and ask, where am I holding their energy? And if once you and do this is just keep it simple. Keep it simple if you're just starting out and getting used to this, okay? Breathe warm light into that spot as you exhale. Say silently, I send this imprint back to the source. Okay, so those of you, if me being a bit more advanced and just having more experience with this, because of the depth and the violence of my attacks from these people, I don't really say anything. Well, I've already said it is basically what is done. And then it's kind of like you go into this trance of sort, and it's not really getting a trance. I'm tapping out from this timeline or this realm, really. And I'm not tapping out from the timeline, I'm tapping out from the realm. I'm tapping out of the physical. And I'm going into the spiritual to see what it is that's really going on. Who is attacking me? Who has latched onto me? And why am I suddenly having not heart palpitations? Why am I suddenly feeling like I'm supposed to be having a heart attack? Well, somebody has astral projected to me, sat inside, and is now poking, trying to cause a heart attack. I actually saw that being done. I actually had somebody too who believed that if they attached themselves to my heart, that they would stay alive. And it took me 2, 3 years because of the intensity and the other distractions to get this, energy, this fragmented human spirit, mind you, from away from me. And in the spiritual realm, this thing was talking to me, even though it's a human fragmented spirit, it's somebody else's pain, somebody else's paranoia, right? When they know that you're a healer, it doesn't matter whether they're dead or alive, they're going to come to you because they see you in the spirit realm. And this thing that had attached to my heart, and this is why I say you got to clear your chakras, because you're clearing everybody who is attached or tethered themselves. Like there's this term, called tethers now in the dating world or whatever. And so you have tethers, you have people who will tether themselves to you again, whether they're alive or not. What's creepy is that when somebody is alive and that they do this quite often to other people, that they as a parasite, whether they're in this realm and they actually are a parasite and just, and toxic, or, which doesn't mean that they're a cluster B personality, or they're a cluster B personality and they're still a parasite and they're attaching to you. That's what I do. And when I clear my chakras, when I start to understand, when it's revealed to me who, what, when, where, why, and how, then I go in and I clear my chakra and I say, I'm just quietly to myself as I'm going, Muladhara Lang. And then as I'm saying Lung, then I am telling that entity, you don't have rights to me. There's no contract, there's no agreement. So therefore, all demonic tethers are removed from me. Right? And it is extremely powerful. And I suggest when you're clearing your chakras that you say to yourself from your third eye, that you say, I remove all demonic attachments that have no right to me. And if they've, by some chance, I have unconsciously have a contract that it is now null and void, canceled, never manifested, and never come to pass. Actually, yesterday I did this because I have two people, especially who are still persistent, but again, we are living in times where the veils and the awareness, people are becoming more conscious to interdimensional interaction. Okay? We're coming into where, and it's a beautiful and scary thing at the same time, especially for those of us who have been looking for a soul tribe that knows this, you know what I mean? But it's not just looking for your soul tribe. You can have somebody who relates to you and has gone through similar stuff, and instead of bonding, they take it as a competition, which is sad. But anyway, hopefully this psychic exercise, go rewind this and go back to it. Hopefully it really helps you guys. So, um here's a science thing. Fascia contains nociceptors and mechanon receptors. So noxi, NOCICEPTORS, and mechanoreceptors, MECHANORECEPTORS, sensors, okay, that detect pain and pressure before your brain interprets them. These fibers are precognitive. You don't imagine bad vibes, you perceive them somatically, okay? We're going to get some more into this, but I've trailed on some for some. So, anyway, this is the end for this segment, and we'll get to the next one. But what is your fascia? What if your fascia was your first line of spiritual defense? All right, so from the ashes, phoenixes, we rise. From the soul, we lead. If this episode activated something deep, please don't scroll past it. Go to www.phoenixesrisingacademy.com and download a free workbook, subscribe to new journals, music, and the free workbook will be in another link in my profile at the top of the page with the header. Okay, so make sure so you can get on the email list and subscribe, like, comment, and share.
I'm breaking
I love you.
chains. I'm the phoenix rising, can't you see? You can't break me, I'm finally free.